welcome to the Co-op Mode Podcast. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. This is round 70, folks. I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, joined by the Canadian Mark Carabin. How you doing, bud?
I'm great. How are you?
You know, it feels like we've done this before.
It really does. I'm getting big deja vu vibes, and people are going to notice some shirt changes in a couple of minutes.
We had a wardrobe change. We're like Beyonce.
That's it. Yeah, very quick wardrobe change. Let's do that. We've got to work that into all of our podcasts now. Just wardrobe, but don't tell anyone next time. Just
fancy
like
hats
randomly, just completely change your
like
outfit
Elton John. I can do like big like glasses. It'd be wonderful.
That'll be the thing that gets us 100 subs on YouTube. It'll be just be like people be watching and they can win a contest when they tell us what time the wardrobe change or what time we changed something.
What was Mark wearing at Mark 3522?
Exactly.
Or the shirt we're wearing maybe is something we're going to talk about.
When did I put the Super Mario hat on the Stormtrooper back there? That'll happen in a future episode maybe. Or maybe we'll forget about it as soon as I stop talking.
I just slowly get less and less clothing as the episode goes on. So
you are invited back for life.
and that mysterious voice, unless you're watching on YouTube, is our guest this week on the Co-op Couch. It is Mr. Dan with RetroLogic. Dan, how are you doing, bud?
Hey guys, so glad to be back. It's weird that I've been on here twice now already, and it's been like less than 24 hours. Y'all love having these guests back, huh?
We can't quit you, man. We can't quit you. Even though we try. So we'll just throw back the curtain a little bit. We are recording it for a second day. For some reason, we noticed there was some weird video stuff going on, audio stuff going day one, and it totally didn't work. So you're going to see a tale of two podcasts. The first part is going to be very quick. The second part will be longer, and it will be totally different people you see before you. But, you know, enough of behind the scenes. But very quickly, Dan, introduce yourself. Tell the people all about you.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. So, I run RetroLogic, which is kind of like a retro gaming sort of network we have going on. It's a retro game store, an eBay store. It is a Discord community. It's a podcast, and we just are gamers who love retro games. So if you know you played games when you were a kid, it's really a great place for you. We try to keep things really positive and non-toxic and non-gatekeepy because that can be kind of unfortunately that could be something that happens on the internet. So we're trying to curb that. And we do a pretty good job. Everybody in our community is really friendly, and we just love to chat about games and show off if we get a good retro haul or if we reorganize our game shelves. We just love to show off. And we support each other, and really it's just a fun group of guys who love to hang out and talk about games, guys and girls. So, you can find me on Twitter at RetroLogicGames, and the website is RetroLogic.games, and you can get the links to everything there. So come check us out.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're very excited to talk to you about a lot of fun this podcast.
Yes.
But before we get into that, we really quickly want to talk about a contest that we've been running, and we kind of fell behind, but we re-energized, and we've got some deadlines. So basically, this is the contest that we're giving back to the community. Actually, Sean Nias is giving back to the community. He's going to donate $100 each for each controller design that is chosen by his children from the Xbox Design Lab. His daughter, who's 11, loves Minecraft, and she loves the color light blue and purple. And his son is 8 and loves Captain America. He's a big gamer. He also loves Destiny. He's really good, and he's actually beating Sean at gaming as we know it. And Mark, this is actually an update. Sean and I were talking, and he wants to record a segment with the kids selecting the winners. And then Sean also wants to know who the winners were so he can thank them. And then he also wants to understand all the components. So when they order it, they can do that. So that'll be something fun. So we're going to plan that. And if everything goes according to plan, on the next episode, you'll hear who the winners are.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, I'm really excited for that. I submitted, I don't know, Todd, if you had a chance to look at the doc. We've got a doc with all the designs that have been submitted so far. I put mine in there. My wife designed some for both kids. I spent way too much time going through these designs. The Captain America one, I kind of had like 3 or 4 designs that I came up with, picked my favorite, and the Minecraft light blue, purple one, I went through like a dozen or more designs. I just kept iterating and changing, and I'm happy, I think, with the one that I picked, and that's why I added to the doc, because I just kept redesigning it like every day, and I was just like, I gotta stop. I just need to like pick one and go, and I think that's what I need to do for my own Design Lab controller, because I still haven't ordered one. But anyway, yeah, I'm very excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's $100 donation for each person and the charity of their choice. But I tell you guys, Extra Life is coming up. Mark and I were just talking about this. If you're into Extra Life and you want to donate, this is a great way to get you $100 towards your Extra Life goals.
Potentially too.
And it's very easy to do. Exactly. And do something you love, which is design cool controllers.
Yeah.
It's better than that. And it's free to do it. So DM us with your entries and we'll put them in the doc. And then once again, the kids get to pick. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So Dan, the pressure's on you, man. You got to put your thinking cap on, design an Xbox Series controller for those kids, and be in the running. Look at how much retro gear you can buy. All those Xbox OG games that are like $100 now. You can buy like two.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, is Dan a charity now? I thought this was
going
to charity, not your own person. This is going in my pocket.
Donate to Preservation Society, Mark. That's the charity.
Okay. I'll just make myself a nonprofit real quick.
Todd's my design one, I'm picking the Human Foundation. You can send it to my address at todd.com.
It's like naming a star after me. And that star is me.
Yeah. I'm here
thinking, it goes for video game preservation. You can go in the RetroLogic Museum of Natural Video Gaming.
So you've got a Minecraft fan and a Captain America fan. You're designing the controllers around it. Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to get.
That's like the inspiration. Both of them like gaming and things like that. But that was kind of where.
Or just do something totally off that, and then they'll be like, "Oh, that's different," and choose that one. Yeah. So there's some strategy here too.
Absolutely. It's all black or it's all white.
Yeah,
I did like Leah Jewer, who was on a couple of episodes ago, made a really cool, like more Minecraft inspired one that I was surprised the theming and the way she designed that controller wasn't exactly when I thought like light blue, purple Minecraft. Like my mind went in a very different direction, but seeing her controller, I'm like, ooh, it's so different and so cool. Like it didn't stick to exactly all of those notes. She kind of picked something. I'm not going to give it away, but she picked something from those three things and just kind of focused on it. And she came up with one heck of a cool design. So I can't wait to see like the different inspirations or like Dan said, someone just going completely into left field and just designing something cool and just being like, I don't know, kid might like this.
Absolutely. So the deadline for submissions is September 17th.
Whoa.
That gives us time for the kids to review and then actually record our session over the weekend. So there you go. Get them in, folks. DM us either at Mark, myself, or at Secret Friends U. There you go. But then I think we need to get to know Dan a little bit better before we get into the meat of the show. When we play a fun game called Rent, Buy, Return. Woo. So Mark had a choice. It's his turn to do this. So Mark, hit us with your best shot.
So Dan, this one's in honor of you as a retro gamer, someone who likes the retro scene. I'm going to pick some retro forgotten mascots. We're going to go with 3 here. We are going to go... And this could be maybe, I don't know if we want to choose a game or like the mascot in general. So like buy, rent, return, whatever. Anyway, so let's bring back, I'm going to go with Bubsy, Arrow the Acrobat, and Plok. For anyone watching the video. Yep, Plok.
Plok. P-L-O-K?
P-L-O-K.
You know who Plok is.
If you don't know who Plok is, Todd,
he a caveman?
I'm going to throw an arm at you. No, that's Bonk.
You know who Plok is.
No, I thought there was like a weird caveman named Plok.
No,
there's
that's
a
Bonk.
caveman named Bonk.
Plok
is like he's yellow, he's got red gloves, red feet, red
and he
cape
throws
hat,
his limbs at you.
He throws his limbs.
I have never heard of Plok. I don't even
I'm
think this
sure
is
you
real.
have. I'm sure when you see
I
the
have to look
cartridge,
at
you're
what
going to
Plok
be like,
looks like.
You're going to be like, oh, I rented this because that's what everybody.
That's
does.
everyone rented
like
Plok.
Plok
Yeah.
with a cute. No, it's a Super Nintendo game.
Super Nintendo,
exclusive. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, no, I don't know Plok.
Yeah,
such a
I'm
great
gonna
game.
look at
man.
I'm looking at a
Like,
video preview of Plok
that
and
needs to be on
get my
some
mind
Super
blown.
Nintendo Classic.
So you keep
or
going.
whatever. Yeah.
I'll get more excited about Plok.
All right. So Todd, I don't know if Todd, do you want me, since you have no skin in this fight, would Zool be better? Can I swap Plok out for
Ooh,
Zool?
I'm glad you said Zool. I thought no one would mention Zool, and that was in my mind. Say Zool, please.
I
Yeah,
had Zool for Game Gear. Let's throw Zool in instead of Plok, I suppose, since Todd doesn't have any connection to Plok. But I know the Plok fans, and my heart's breaking a little bit. And I know my fellow Plok.
Listen,
send me some hate.
There's a lot of Plok fans over at Retro.
There are, yeah.
So you're breaking some hearts now.
I'm sorry.
I've seen like Twitter has been like all about like bring Plok back for the SNES.
We had a make Plok trending campaign over RetroLogic like the last few days.
Yeah.
Well, Bubsy came back, so Plok can come back. I guess it's allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Since Bubsy did come back, I'm changing this up again. Can you tell that I put a ton of effort and thought into this? Arrow the Acrobat, Zool, and Plok. They're my three.
Okay.
Arrow the Acrobat, Zool, Plok. Because Bubsy did kind of come back.
Gonna pick. I wonder what Todd's gonna pick.
So Dan, let's hear your choices.
If I don't keep Plok, there's going to be an army of people after me, so I have to keep Plok. And then the other two are what? Zool and Arrow the Acrobat?
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay. I've never played Zool. I guess I'm renting Zool.
All right.
So I can actually play it for the first time. I'm going to have to pick a copy of that now because I don't know what it is. And then,
Zool.
Was,
he's like a weird little ninja, like a black, purple, red eye liner kind of stuff.
I think I see the logo, like his eyes make the two O's in the
exactly.
logo. Okay. Yep. I think I've seen it before. I've never played it though. So definitely going to rent Zool, and I don't know. Arrow's fine. I don't care. Get rid of him. He doesn't have to exist.
All right. I like it.
Blissfully ignorant. Blissfully ignorant of Arrow the Acrobat.
Good stuff. So
immense disinterest.
Todd, I'll give you a second, and I will say that my brother and I were so obsessed with Arrow the Acrobat when we were kids. We used to make up his teammates and like other characters in the Arrow the Acrobat verse.
The ACU, the Acrobat, the Semitic universe,
the AABCU, Arrow
Amazing.
Acrobat. Anyway, we used to make up like different, but some of them would be bats, and we just design different bats, but then we'd just pick other weird little rodents and creatures and stuff that could be friends or foes of Arrow the Acrobat. And we used to draw them and try to kind of copy the art style from the manuals from Arrow the Acrobat. This is a good times, man. This is, we used to be big fans. So Todd,
that's pretty incredible.
Do you have your choices?
Okay. I just had to refresh my memory of Zool because I know I played the game, but I'm like, I don't remember much about it. So it kind of changed my mind as I saw the gameplay, and I'm like, okay. And these games were all SNES era, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, buy, rent, return. So I'm buying Zool. Why, you may ask? Because he's a super rad ninja, and his game advertised Chupa Chups. I just looked at the gameplay, and it says like it's got branding for Chupa Chups. Do you remember what Chupa Chups were? Those lollipops or whatever they were. It's right in the game. I'm like, how did that even happen?
All right.
I mean, it was like here's
Googling now.
Here's Sonic eating Sonic chili dogs, or
I should have done
Dominoes.
I should have done like mascot tie-ins and done
Pepsi
so I could have done
Cool
Zool,
Spot.
Cool Spot, and Sneak King.
There you
that's
go.
A different generation, I suppose.
Oh, definitely.
We'll save that one for later. So you're buying Zool?
He's a ninja that likes lollipops. What's better than that? He's cool.
Nothing.
It's cool, dude.
His whole world is candy.
Yeah. I'm renting Arrow the Acrobat because he kind of looks like a cool bat that does cool acrobatics. But it probably loses its, excitement after some time. So I had my fun with it. And then Plok.
bro.
Plok, that's the game you see at Blockbuster, and it's got dust on it. The kids are like,
Never
that's
dust
the
on Plok
only
Talk.
thing, and they're like, can I just get a Barney video instead? No Plok. Plok's returned. Oh my, that's a game your grandma buys for you.
I
like,
wish my grandma was cool enough to buy me
to
Plok.
buy you Plok.
So we had
rest
this
her
funny
soul.
thing happen on Twitter where there was like somebody was like, hey, show me like something impressive in your collection. And at one point I had 3 copies of Plok in the game store, in the RetroLogic game store. So I took a picture of it and I was like, I have the largest known collection of the game Plok. And you can't prove me wrong. Show me anybody who has more than 3 copies of this game. And everybody was like,
You
no,
win.
we can't. You win.
You win unopposed.
That's right. Yep. Nobody's even going to bother because.
So was Plok on any other consoles?
Nope.
No,
Super Nintendo
Super
exclusive.
Nintendo,
It's
that's
never been on the Virtual Console. It's
No.
never been anywhere. It could be on NSO. It's not like it has any licensing
that's the
issues.
game they're bringing back then, because
They
we got
should.
those
It's better.
classics we got
It's
last
good.
time.
It's
Yeah.
a good game.
It's solid. It is.
People
It
need
really
to play
is.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's my Plok story.
All the cartridges
I
are
love that.
probably melted because they're so awesome that the awesomeness have melted all the cartridge and killed the battery. Yeah.
So a little more inside baseball for anyone listening or watching. This is not the same game that we played yesterday
No.
because we could not recreate the spontaneity.
No.
So I am so happy in a way that we got to do this because I love knowing that you have the biggest Plok collection in the world.
I do.
That's amazing. So go ahead, Todd.
I think that will be brought into the title of the episode somehow.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Plok for life.
Gotta Plok them all.
For my picks, I think even though I did love this game, and I had it for the Sega Game Gear, I think I'm going to return Zool, rent Arrow the Acrobat, and buy Plok because after all this Plok talk, I just Plok talk. There's the title. That's the one. Plok talk
I'm
with
putting it in
Dan.
there, Plok
RetroLogic. Yeah.
We already have Plok Talk over at RetroLogic.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Is that-
We already have an hour long.
Oh, God,
we have an hour long
for that?
podcast. We talk about nothing but the game Plok for a whole hour.
I just punched my
but you know what?
microphone. That's amazing.
Please use Plok Talk. It's too good. Please use it.
Plok Talk / trademark or whatever, because we got to
Plok-
pay the
the
royalties
Plok
now.
cast.
Holy. I absolutely love every single second of this. So there we go. That's my picks. I'm sticking to it.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that game, and if you want to know what our original picks were, ask us on Twitter, and maybe you'll find out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Now, guys, we're about 20 minutes in. We haven't talked about what we've been playing. So this is a video game podcast. So Dan, kick us off. Skyward Sword. You probably don't want my thoughts on Skyward Sword because I've already given them. But, have you beat it?
Sure. I beat it in the Wii days. So this
Okay.
is actually my second time playing it. I'm a huge Zelda fan. And Skyward Sword not being my favorite in the series, I think that what they did with the controller, like non-motion controls, so you can play it handheld and all that, I think that eased up the experience quite a bit. At least for me, it did. There is some weirdness with having to like hold a button down to use the camera, like a normal camera control. And that gets a little weird, but about, a couple hours into it, I got used to it. Didn't have any issues with it anymore. I haven't beaten this go around because there's just so much going on, not only just in life, but in gaming that I want to beat it again. But since I've already beaten it, I'm not the most motivated to get all the way through it again. But I am enjoying it. Like I said, it's not my favorite Zelda game. I'm a huge Zelda fanatic, but it's not horrible.
It's also not for people with bad shoulders, as I learned, because I like the motion controls. I just couldn't do it with the bird. My arms are just like, oh, ow,
Yeah.
Zelda, you killed me.
The bird is way easier with the controller, just infinitely so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure. I also put more time than I thought I would into the WarioWare demo that was out on Switch right now. I didn't need convincing to buy WarioWare. I love WarioWare. I've loved it since the GameCube days, playing with friends and being weirded out by everything that Nintendo was throwing at you. But this round I played with my 6-year-old, and like we were just busting up like hilarious stuff they put in this game, with the twist that now your character's on screen instead of like you interacting with the game. Your character's interacting with the game, and you're kind of up, down, left, right, and they have an action, and all the characters are so different that it kind of adds an extra level of chaos to what is already like an impossibly chaotic game. So it's one of those games. It reminds me of Smash Brothers in a way that's like, just if you're playing 4-player Smash Brothers, most of the time it's total chaos. Like, it's almost luck at that point, right? So especially trying to play this game, trying to play this game co-op is basically 4-player Smash Brothers with all items on high.
I like it.
Is this the first time it's had co-op?
I think so, because before you would have to take turns because one person is controlling everything on screen. Like, there really wasn't a good way to pull that off. And even when you did play multiplayer, you were kind of taking turns doing the various games one after the other. So this is the first time you're playing the same game, the same micro game at the same time on screen. So if great family game turns out, and just hilarious antics with Wario, and I don't know, I'm a fan of the series anyway, but they really just kind of threw the rulebook out the window with this one and made it extra fun. So
that's out this week, full game, right? This is the demo you've been playing, but
I just played the demo. Yeah, the full game is out on the 10th, I believe. So I was already gonna buy it. Like I'm in on WarioWare, but this just made it a family experience, which I think is super fun.
Awesome.
How many snot puzzles were there? Because there's typically a few snot puzzles.
Yeah,
the woman's got
I'm trying to think, and I don't think I remember one. Now that's just the demo. There's definitely like armpit hair plucking and like something with teeth. Like it's all a blur at this point. But there's got to be some gross out humor in there, or it's not WarioWare. So
this should have been 1-2 switch. Is all I'm saying. WarioWare should have been a 1-2 switch game.
I don't disagree with you at all.
I mean, milking and shaving and just so many opportunities for body problems. Oh well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so along with the Switch, my other console is Stadia. I don't have a PS5, PS4, Xbox, modern Xbox. So Stadia is where I play my like other modern gaming stuff, and so I've been getting into Jedi Fallen Order for the first time.
Nice.
Which I'm really sad about because I love Star Wars, and because Stadia is my console, I had to wait until it was on Stadia Pro for free, and now I'm finally getting through it.
It's free. Do they do all the EA Play games for free on Stadia if you're pro?
I don't know if it's still on Stadia.
Okay.
I got it because it was on Stadia. It was free on Stadia Pro. I'm not sure about EA Play and all that. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I got it a while back. But you know how when you get a free game and it just sits in your library, and then you know what I mean. It just like you have PS Plus or Xbox Gold. It
taunts you. It tells you should play it. Yeah.
Like, this is an old game though, and there's stuff coming out, but it's Star Wars, so I had to play it, and I don't have a lot to say about it. What everyone else has said about it, I'm a huge fan. It reminds me of like the best of Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider games, so I'm in on that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was
I was going to ask you one more question.
Oh, yeah,
how does it perform on Stadia? Because I've had mixed results on Stadia. So what's your experience? Is it good?
My experience in general on Stadia has been really good.
Good.
I have pretty good internet though, and so that's kind of the catalyst for how your experience is going to be. I only play it at home because trying to do it on mobile is just going to be insane and not work very well. But I have pretty good internet, and it works really, really well on my MacBook with my controller plugged in, or even with the controller connected to the Wi-Fi, it works even better. So occasional like pausing or glitches in the feed, but nothing that has interrupted my gameplay, because it's usually very, very quick and it fixes itself. Nothing that's interrupted my gameplay to the point where I'm having a horrible time.
Right. And there's not much, like, aside from some of the combat scenarios, there's not much like Twitch based kind of thing. You could have a second of hang up in most. You're running through something or trying to figure out a puzzle. There's a lot of thinking elements of that before you do the action. So probably a good game to play in that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Not a lot that's twitchy. Like I wouldn't play like a Call of Duty or something where I have to be like, but you're right about that. But even so, the delay I have found to be very manageable. I mean, a lot of times I just forget it's there. So yeah, I haven't really had any issues. But again, it all, your mileage may vary depending on your internet. So
good. That's good to hear, because I'm glad that you don't have to have a whole on new console or a new PC. You can play for a service that brings you these games and gives you a way to play it. That's awesome. It's
pretty cool. And I mean, Google, like I always have this fear in the back of my mind because I have all these games on Stadia. And I actually played Cyberpunk on Stadia. Not knowing that that's like the best way to play Cyberpunk, because everybody was complaining about it. And I'm here like, guys, this game's great. What are you talking about? And then I'm reading all these articles like Stadia is the best way to play Cyberpunk. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know that.
You're laughing all the way to the bank by not buying a high-end PC.
That's how I got the controller, the like Stadia controller, because you could get it for free if you pre-ordered Cyberpunk. Nice. And then I was kind of like, cool, I'll give this a shot. I'll do $10 a month for a bunch of free games.
Yeah.
And what else was I going to say? I don't know. Nothing else. Just Stadia is cool. I like it. If your internet's good, you should give it a shot. And then the last thing is, just because I'm a retro guy, I had to bring some retro in here. I recently picked up an OG Xbox. A buddy of mine traded it to me complete in box, which is really exciting. To be able to like unbox an old Xbox from 2001.
Why they just got it and just never opened it? Like, was there a reason behind it?
It wasn't a new console, but they kept the box. Kept all the inserts. Yeah. So he just boxed it back up and sent it to me through our trade.
Amazing.
Which was so bizarre, right? Because it was in really good condition too. So it was really bizarre to open something like that up in 2021.
Yeah.
He did send me a Duke, but this particular console didn't. It came with the newer style controller.
But yes, I think. Right?
Yeah. He sent me a Duke though, because he had one, and I was like, "You got to send me the Duke. You can't have an Xbox and not own a Duke." And like a bunch of games that I'm interested in. So I've just been going back and picking up all the Sega stuff. Because I'm a huge Dreamcast guy, so I got to get my Shenmue 2 and my Panzer Dragoon
Jet Set Radio
Future,
Radio?
big time. Jet Set Radio Future is the one on Xbox. Yeah, Jet Grind is Dreamcast. Plus Toe Jam and Earl 3.
Nice.
All that stuff that just kind of I missed.
Dino Crisis 3, right?
I don't know about that one.
That was another exclusive. It was a Capcom exclusive for the Xbox. It was Dino Crisis 3, which is just crazy. It was dinosaurs in space. What is better than dinosaurs in space?
Yeah, how do you beat that, honestly? So I'm going to add that to my list.
You can't.
All that stuff. What else? Gun Valkyrie, another Sega title that just kind of missed.
Otogi.
Oh, man. Those are so expensive now, though.
Yeah.
Like, talk about expensive Xbox games. Those are probably $60 to $100 a pop.
Damn.
I bought a lot of licensed games on the original Xbox because, like the Evil Dead. I think there's an Evil Dead game I bought.
Yeah.
There's quite a few licensed games are the well, we're going to talk about this, guys, in our topic, but basically licensed games are I guess the bane of backwards compatibility and preservation, because the licenses kill it. So if you can find those old games, licensed games, that's about the only way you can do it. So that's cool if you can find some of those. Yeah,
big time. And like expensive stuff too. Like for a while, Stubbs the Zombie was just nowhere. Right? If you didn't own an Xbox, and shelling out $50-$60 for this game, you couldn't play it. But we just got the re-release recently, so that's nice. So that was really fun. I've been on the hunt for some OG Xbox stuff because most of it's really cheap still. So that's been my kind of like retro obsession as of late.
Sweet.
Nice. Very good. Yeah. Enjoy it. That big old 300-pound console.
I'm worried it's not going to fit in my Kallax over here, my IKEA shelf.
It's still smaller than the PS5, apparently.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Awesome. That's all for me.
Nice. Mark,
Mhm.
this game does not seem like a Mark game, but I am surprised, but I'm also interested. No Man's Sky.
Yeah, yeah. This is very much a Mark game. Actually, I played
Okay.
this when it was first released on PS4. Day
Mm-hmm.
one purchase for me because I like space and exploring, and thought the technology behind this game was very interesting. Even though at first the game didn't quite live up to the lofty expectations that we were promised, I still wanted to check it out. So this was a day one PlayStation playthrough for me, but kind of moved on, stopped playing, blah blah blah, and it's on Game Pass. So there was a challenge or something to play this or start up on Game Pass. I think in the like I always say, my little Game Pass weekly quests, monthly quests, all that kind of stuff. And I just saw No Man's Sky, and I had heard that they've kept working on this. There's an Xbox Series patch. There's all these performance things. There's new modes. There's new creatures. You can do a whole ton of different stuff. And I had never played it on my Xbox One. I haven't played it yet on my Series X. So I said, you know what? Let's fire this up and just see what the changes are. And I'm still fairly early on, but I've got my ship working again. I'm kind of able to explore the cosmos a little bit and go to another planet, and it's kind of coming back to me. But there's also so much change that it feels like I'm playing a new game for the very first time. So it's really really cool. And if you haven't checked this one out, go check it out if you have Game Pass, because it's a really cool experience. It's not like many other games, and it just kind of drops you in a world and says figure it out, and that's it. And I kind of like that about it. I don't know how long I'll stick with it, but I've been playing it for a few days now and going back to it, whether it's little tiny bits at a time or sit there and play it for an hour or so, which, with a 1 year old literally running now around the house and getting into everything, that's saying something that I can sit there and capture my attention for that long. And I'm really enjoying going back to it. It's cool. So yeah, check that one out.
I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
because they did that Mass Effect event where they added the Normandy,
Mhm.
and I really wanted to check it out then because I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool to see the Normandy, and I never did, but I'm not sure if that's still available or if it was just
I
gone now.
don't know. I don't think so. And yeah, so there were those times the last couple of years really that I've thought like, oh, maybe I'll go back to this. Maybe I'll go back to that. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll check out this event, or oh, you can get a pet now, or oh, you can ride this, or you can do this, or like all of that kind of stuff that I kept saying like, I got to get back to this game. I got to try it out again. I really love what the team did and stuck with it and just really, put their heads down and like delivered kind of more in line with what they promised and listened to the community. And I think it's such an achievement in gaming for this team to have taken these crazy lofty super high ambitions and release something that didn't quite meet that, but then say like, we can do better. We're not going to give up. They could have easily said, well, you got what you got, we're moving on. But they've stuck with it, and it's incredible. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely do so. And I've been meaning to get back to it for a long time, so I'm happy that I did.
I had a similar experience to you on the PS4 when I was super hyped for it, and I got it on my PS4 and I played it for a while. And you're right, it did not live up to expectations, and I kind of just put it down, and then the Switch was coming out.
Yep.
So I sold my PS4 to pay for the Switch, and then just kind of, fell off the face of the earth for me.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's been a lot of updates, and I'm kind of thinking about trying it out again. So you may have convinced me.
It could be a great follow up to Fallen Order, because you still get that little space exploration bit, and it's a little.
I'm all about space, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to pick up this Dino Crisis 3 to get some dinos in space.
Now they do have dinosaurs in No Man's Sky 3, I believe, or No Man's Sky, I believe. And I don't know if you guys ever saw it, where they showed the original what it looked like, and then they did like the kazoo of Jurassic Park when they made fun of it, which is a joke. But I mean, this is the team that made Joe Danger to make this, and they were very ambitious, and it was a tiny team. So for the fact that they added VR, they've done all these things, and then now it's on Game Pass. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? sometimes, and this team went dead silent and they just fixed their game. They didn't battle on Twitter. They didn't do anything like that. They said, we're going to make the game we've always wanted to. It just took us a lot longer because we just didn't have the staff to do so. And so there you go.
Yeah, it's an amazing story just in general. Like without even playing the game, I think it's an interesting gaming history kind of story. So
Really
I think even further, the more further removed we get from this game coming out, I think the more interesting it will get to look back on. But right now, it's kind of cool to have played it at the start, play it right now, and then in another 10 years or something like that, I'll be able to look back and be like, oh man, that was such a super interesting little moment in gaming. So that's that. Another probably not as interesting moment in gaming, but something that I'm kind of hyped for is some stuff going on in Fortnite. Obviously, I haven't talked about Fortnite in a little bit, but I've always, I always.
Are you going to talk about Will Smith in Fortnite, Mike?
Bad Boys, yeah, his character from Bad Boys got added in there, which is random, and they didn't really give an explanation of like, we're tying this in because of this reason or that reason. It was just
was it because it was Men in Black, right? Because it's aliens, isn't Men in Black?
Yeah, but there's aliens, so why not drop Jay in there?
Like a black suit and sunglasses. Yeah, that's weird.
They dropped literally
Wild
his
West.
Bad Boys character in there. Anyway,
or how about
Day?
I was just gonna say the other Will Smith alien movie.
100%. That
Will
probably would have fit more.
Jet.
It was a weird, but fine. That's cool. Who else did they just drop in there? Shang-Chi. They just dropped,
which I love the costume in that. Yeah. I wish they had that in the movie because that costume is badass.
I loved it.
The other one is kind of the movie one is kind of plain.
This awesome. I got Shang-Chi as soon as it dropped in the shop, but did not sadly buy Will Smith from Bad Boys. However, I did try out Imposters mode, which is basically their like blatant ripoff of Among Us. But it was really fun. It was actually really fun to play and get a group of friends together, and we're all voice chatting, but like everyone was playing the roles so well of like, I'm not telling you anything. I could figure out who the killer is, or I could be the killer, and no one was saying anything. So we were all just like really having a good time and voice chatting, and no one was giving it up. And out of a team of, so we were just like voice chatting with 4 of us, and 2 of the people on my team ended up being the killers one round, and they totally fooled us, and until they stabbed me in the back, which was great. So I love that Fortnite just keeps adding weird, fun little modes and fun experiments and all this kind of stuff. And that leads me to my final bit. Season 7, Chapter 2, Season 7 is coming to a close. So as you're listening to this, we've got, I think, a 6-day timer countdown. So next Sunday is going to be the big season finale. So September 12th. So if you're listening to this right now, I think this is going down 5 p.m. my local time. So what's that? 4 p.m. Eastern, I guess. Mm-hmm. So 4 p.m. Eastern. Apparently we can do big lobbies on this. So if you play Fortnite, you listen to the show, drop me a message. I'd love to have like a big 16-person lobby. If you've been playing Fortnite recently, you'll know the giant mothership is right now floating in the sky above the island and is destroying different bits of the island. So right now, they're bringing some big chunks of land up, but there's bombs attached to that land, and apparently it's reaching. Once it reaches the mothership, it's going to kick off an event called like Skyfire or something crazy like that, and we're all going to go up to the mothership and try to like take it over and seek our vengeance. It sounds like a just bonkers, crazy kind of thing. So I want a big team going in Sunday. So if you can make it, if you're interested, drop me a DM, hit me up on the Discord channel, and we'll get a big team going. I think this would be a lot of fun. I can't wait to take on some aliens, go up to the ship and see what this is all about, and kick off season 8. So yeah, let me know. That could be fun. It could be a fun way to play some co-op together with the crew. So if you're listening, let me know. Let's team up and either play Imposters mode or do this next Sunday.
Mark, they need to bring in Jeff Goldblum with a MacBook.
I would pay so many V-Bucks for that skin. Just don't even, and give me an alternate skin of him with his like shirt open from Jurassic Park. Like,
Oh, the sexy one.
100
Oh, sexy Jeff
with
Goldblum.
that as an emote. Like, I would buy that whole bundle. Like, no questions asked. Just take my credit card. Don't tell me how much it costs. Just do it. Sexy Jeff Goldblum all day. New skin. Retire my other 100 skins or whatever I have, and just that's it. Sexy Jeff Goldblum for till the end of time. 100%.
Okay,
As he tries to sell you
there's your
rentals.
there's your podcast episode title right there.
Sexy Jeff
Sexy
Goldblum until the end of
Goldblum.
time. That is 100% what we need to name this.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know what? I lack for creativity at times, but Mark brings the fury and the Goldblum. There we go.
Before we go on a Jeff Goldblum sexiness tangent, Todd, what have you been playing?
Well, I was challenged, and I'm going to be on another podcast, and Larry Giver, who's a good friend of mine, has decided to pitch me an idea. Basically, it's called I'd buy that for $1. So it's a RoboCop reference. But also, basically, any games you bought cheap, or can you find games cheap that are $1 or less, and then review them very quickly? So I'm taking this challenge, and I bought a bunch of enough humble bundles where I think I've got like 8,000 games, and I probably cost me like 50 cents or less. So I was going through some of these games. Some of them are horrible, but I found one that I just think is a diamond in the rough, and I love it. And there's more to play, which I didn't, but I played the first 2 missions. It's called Darkside Detective.
Great game.
This game is like you played it already?
I played a bit of it. Barry Dunn,
Okay.
Nintendo Impact.
Okay.
Sent me this game or told me to buy this game. I can't remember which one. So if you sent it to me, Barry, thank you. And if you told me to buy it, also thank you. I don't know, but yeah, wicked game.
It's really cool. It's called it's by a dev called Spooky Doorway, which is a great name for a dev too. And it's basically your classic like King's Quest point and click adventure with really great pixel art. It's updated for, you know, modern consoles, but it's still that era. And you play basically a detective that deals with the supernatural. You've got like a very idiot cop who helps you, but he's not very helpful. He always says the worst things, isn't helpful, and you just basically go in, and the dialogue is fantastic. It's kooky, it's goofy, it's like Airplane, it's like Naked Gun, that just double entendre, just really fun and goofy humor. And the best thing about this game is it basically has episodes, almost like little books, where you have one simple mystery to solve, and that's it. It's over. It's probably done. And depending on how smart you are and, and how well you can solve these puzzles, you can be done in 10 minutes or longer. I'm not going to say how long it took me because I don't want you to judge me. But they are so much fun. I played the first 2 stories, and some of just the writing. I mean, I'm just going to give you a hint. So like you talk to a librarian and you said, she's telling you about these books that she likes. And it's basically, she says, oh, I'm into this book series. It's about a reversed vampire. He can only come out during the day, and keeps talking about it. Basically, it's a Twilight, just very, very goofy. Then you're reading books off a shelf, and one is called Dr. Whom's Thrilling Adventures Through Grammar and Structure. Dr. Whom. So take that. And then lastly, the last book was The Witcher, Tales of an Indecisive Adventure, and Witcher is spelled like witch, like which one. I love it. Yep. I love it. This is where I love puns. This is dad humor at its best. I love it. And I've got more chapters that will unlock as I play it. It's a great game. I love it. I am just so pleased that I played this. Smaller games, you never know if you're going to like them or not, but I'm so glad I played this one. So check out Darkside Detective. It's on Switch. It's on Steam. I got it through, I think I got it through Humble Bundle. Maybe I got it through Epic Game Store. I have so many games in my library, and I will put a big old prop out to Galaxy GOG, which is fantastic on your PC. Basically, it takes your whole library of every console PC you own, and it tells you if you own those games. So it's kind of like, where do I own this game? Do I own it? And it's fantastic. It stops you from buying games multiple times, which is fantastic. So it's great service. And then lastly, Psychonauts 2. I have put a lot of time in this game. I don't know how long this game is, and that's my only problem with this game. This game is not a straightforward, action platformer. It is an action adventure game with action platforming elements because you are solving little quests and things like that. And you do have to get upgrades. You do have to do these things, but it's not like your Mario Brothers or a 3D game where you're just going on and you're just going through it. You actually have to go back and talk to people and do like get to know more about them, and you have to figure things out. And there's a lot of character development, which is kind of crazy. And I'm really enjoying it, but it is definitely at points I'm like, oh, what do I have to do next? It's kind of frustrating, but it's fun. Like I'm at this one point, it's like an Iron Chef or a Food Network game where you have to build like recipes and make these goats happy and eat the food. And then they become the bosses you have to fight. It's so weird, but it's great. It's really, it's fantastic. I'm so glad Double Fine doesn't have to worry about budgets and securing funding, and being with Xbox allowed them to really do more with the game than they originally intended. And they were like, even say, I don't know if we can afford like other languages for this game. I'm like, Xbox, throw them a bone and get them some more dialogue options in other languages. Come on, you're Xbox. You have trillions of dollars. This will like be $100,000 for Double Fine. Just do it. Come on, don't beg. But yeah, Psychonauts 2 is great. If you own Game Pass, play it. If you don't have Game Pass, buy it.
Yeah.
It's a buy.
Excellent.
So there you go. I still owe a review of a game that Mark got me a code for.
Right.
That is coming up probably on the next episode. I still want to give it the love it needs. Rather have it right than early, as they say. So
absolutely.
It'll be next episode. So that is coming as well. So that is it for what we've been playing. So Mark, I'm going to turn this over to you as we talk about the news.
Yeah, so just one little bit in the news that we really want to touch on this week, and that's kind of something with doing a show every 2 weeks is we have to kind of pick and choose our news topics. But we figured with Dan here talking about some retro games, pretty relevant report coming that that Game Boy and maybe Game Boy Color games are coming to Nintendo Switch. I think I said this a while ago actually on the show, and I think I said like if they're going to release either a big game, but what big game could they release for NES or Super Nintendo? I think this year, as we're coming up to fall and as people's year-long Nintendo Switch Online subscriptions are coming to an end, what's the big thing they're going to release or tease to say, yeah, here's my $20 or $40 for a family plan or whatever. I can't remember what I paid. Anyway, it's pretty cheap comparatively, but you still have to dangle some little carrot for people to be interested. And Game Boy Color games seem to be kind of the general consensus of what they're going to be releasing this fall. So these could be coming pretty soon. So that's basically kind of it for the news. This is coming from Eurogamer originally, but I've seen it from all over the place. I'm looking at an IGN article right now, but they're
there's been quite a bit of corroboration.
So it seems kind of like it's happening. Now,
to be fair, we also got Switch Pro rumors that turned out to be bogus.
That's very true. Very, very.
It's a rumor is a rumor until it's not.
Yeah. So these things are data mined by someone named Oatmeal Dome. So I don't know if that's like a known kind of data miner. Or whatever.
Seems legit,
but seems seems like they know what they're looking at or talking about. They've discovered 2 additional emulator types, Hiyoko and Count, and that could be what these what they're using for the emulators for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Personally, I think this is a great start, but I'd also love to see them throw in Game Boy Advance. We've had the Game Boy Advance before, like emulated, like just do it. We've had that on the 3DS. We've had that on that was on Wii U, correct?
Yeah, it was on Wii U.
It wasn't on Wii.
Yeah.
Did they have Game Boy
and
Advance?
That's my thing.
And 3DS.
It was on 3DS for sure, but I don't think it was.
And that's my thing is that like of all of the new consoles they could add to the NSO offerings, this is kind of like the worst option. Yeah. Like I want N64, I want Game Boy Advance, I want DS.
GameCube.
yeah, GameCube, but like they've been going in chronological order. They would, via consoles. So everybody's like, oh, N64 is the next logical step, even though that causes some problems with the controller, like having 6 face buttons is a weird thing. But like, I'd be
Mario
happy with
64
Game
worked
Boy.
on the 3D
But
All-Star Collection. Like,
oh no, for
64,
sure. I mean,
like-
but there are some games where those C buttons become way more important.
Very
than,
true.
Like,
Yeah.
simple camera movements. But I say that to say, like, I'd love Game Boy, but like I struggle to think of like 5 like great Game Boy games. Like I could probably name 5. Right.
That's my problem too.
If you lump Pokemon in as one, then
and I love Pokemon games. I love Game Boy games in general. Like, give me some Game Boy Color Mario Golf. I'm done for months with that game alone. Like, sign me up. But
Link's Awakening is one of my favorite Zelda games.
That as well.
Right.
There are a decent amount of Game Boy games that I think will keep us busy. But to me, this is kind of like NES versus Super Nintendo. And I love some NES games. They're great to revisit. But for the most part, I find with most people, I'll say, I think it's easier to go back to a Super Nintendo game than an NES game, because NES games often feel dated. They feel confusing. How confusing is the first Zelda game where you randomly have to blow up a thing and like,
well, and a lot of times it's because you were required to read the manual to understand the game.
Exactly. So
that wasn't the case with the Super Nintendo.
And that's Game Boy games to me. Color got a little bit more complex and a little bit better, but it wasn't until Game Boy Advance that it felt like a Super Nintendo in your hand. So getting some Game Boy games, it's like, how many people, aside from some of us old folks that have memories associated with this stuff, but how many people are going to want to go play a grayscale Game Boy game or something with like whatever 6 colors or something like the Game Boy Color had for extended amounts of time? So cool that
it is a good opportunity. It is a good opportunity for you to experience something like you may not have, or like that you've never even heard of. Like, there's a really great RPG on the Game Boy called Legend of the River King, which is a fishing RPG. It's made by Natsume, and it's actually really good. It's a $20 to $30 cartridge. Do you even own a Game Boy? Who knows about this game? So that would be something cool you can throw on there, where it's like, hey, check out this neat thing you wouldn't have played otherwise. But those are very far and few between on the Game Boy. Very far and few between.
Exactly. Todd, I know you're not a huge Game Boy guy. That's correct?
Well, I'll give you a little history with my Game Boy, original Game Boy adventures. I used to babysit a kid across the street. He had a Game Boy. He also had an NES. I tried the Game Boy games on there, and I felt like this reminds me when they try to port arcade games on the NES, and they were not as good. Or when they try to put Pac-Man on the Atari 2600.
Right.
It was bad. I always felt like they did the best with what they had. They weren't great games. They just are not great games. There's a lot of nostalgia, but nobody wants to go back and play those games unless it's like Tetris. Yeah. They just don't, or maybe something like Super Mario Land or something like that, which feels a little different.
Even like Super Mario Land, the first one, is okay.
It's okay. It's very
Super
different.
Mario Land 2 is freaking wonderful. I just played that a couple of years ago on the 3DS.
It's like the era of like what? It's like crazy ideas, right? It's like we did something kind of close to what we did with the original, but then we took chances like what they did from Super Mario Brothers to Super Mario Brothers 2. They did some weird things, Egypt, weird like power-ups and different things like that. But I would say it's kind of like I got excited about the GBA when that came out, even though I had modern hardware. And at the time it was PS1, PS2, GBA came out, and that was like, hey, we can do some awesome things with this hardware. We can make awesome games. We can basically recreate the SNES, but also do some things the SNES probably couldn't do with the hardware. So that's why I'm like, yeah, the Game Boy's fine. And quite honestly, what I worry with Nintendo, they're going to put some of the best games of the Game Boy Color era, but they're going to stop at the games where, and there's going to be so many gaps, kind of like the SNES. There's certain games that are still missing from that system that aren't on the Nintendo Online system. So I just worry Nintendo's going to be it's going to be a very short delivery timing. And after that, it's like it's going to feel empty. So it's been 2 years since SNES launched, and just to do this, yeah, it feels kind of like a okay. But I mean, how many people? Let's be honest. How many people really are nostalgic for Game Boy because of where it was at versus younger kids? And younger kids are probably not going to be excited about that at all. So it's I think it's a smaller niche audience than
Game
NES
Boy
or SNES.
Game Boy kind of had two audiences, right? It had kind of the launch audience, which is like, oh, Tetris and Mario Land, even like Donkey Kong Land games to some extent had a little bit of a resurgence because those are kind of unique experiences. But then there was the second resurgence, which was Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
You have that crowd, and they only played Pokemon and maybe Link's Awakening, you know? Like
or Tetris, or just Tetris fans, like
Mario Golf,
maybe the Final Fantasy, Mario Golf, maybe Final Fantasy, After 5 games. After those 5, you're like, what do I need to? There's a bunch of puzzle games. There's some bad racing games. What do I need to play on this thing? It's cool, but it is very lackluster.
And you made a point about like what Link's Awakening, and then we even had Metroid 2: Samus Returns. We've got, I would say, arguably better versions of those games now that are playable on other hardware, which we don't have now. So it's like, and it's funny because the Game Boy with Tetris is very similar to Wii with Wii Sports. There are some people that only own the Game Boy to play Tetris, and that's the only game they owned. So it's like that could be the Nintendo Game Boy Online. It's just Tetris.
So I definitely agree with you that this is going to be kind of a short, weird little rollout, front stacked for sure, to get people to sign up for the service for another year, and then say, here's our first 3 months of Game Boy games, and then slow trickle for the rest of the year. And I think Game Boy Advance maybe we'll see next fall. You guys kind of,
I hope so. I hope.
Thinking?
I worry that Nintendo is going to be like, we can make a lot more money off of those games, which is true but I do worry. I'm like, but Nintendo's so slow with their plans these days. Seems like, we can make more money of those in 15 years. Yeah. So it's like, then they're like, we're never going to see these games again because I'll be ancient.
The other thing to remember too, and I have to remind all my Nintendo fanboys out there of something, which is that like, this is a whole different Nintendo than we've had for the past 15, 20 years with Reggie and Iwata and Shigeru Miyamoto at the helm, who are now either retired, rest in peace, Iwata, and then Shigeru Miyamoto, who's now a creative fellow, and who knows what he's even doing at Nintendo anymore. Is he like actively making games, or is he just kind of overseeing, making sure people aren't screwing up, right? You have a whole new CEO, a bunch of young guys who made Splatoon and Mario Maker, and those guys are doing really cool work, but they are taking things at Nintendo very slowly for a good reason, because they're kind of like trying to get their footing with, where gaming is right now and what's next after the Switch. So, like at a recent investors meeting, their quote about NSO was basically something like, we're always looking for ways of making NSO more appealing. And that was like the end of the quote, right? Which is a non-answer. So it's really, honestly, and Nintendo has a tendency of pulling out things that you didn't know you wanted. So who knows what's coming? This seems like a very Nintendo move to me, though, to be like, here's something cool that like you'll probably mess with a little bit and then forget about.
That's kind of how I see Nintendo Switch Online for the most part in general. And it kind of leads into kind of the bonus round, the last topic that we're really going to touch on. And that is, if with Game Boy pretty much, coming to Nintendo Switch Online, what are some retro games from any console or handheld that you'd love to play again, but you can't? Preservation, we mentioned, is an important part of gaming. It's a little easier, it seems, to do like film preservation. That's a big service that we get in the world, because film has been going on for years, and we've learned the hard way with a lot of stuff of like, this original reel was lost, and this has been, we've heard stories about digital recreations or digital remastering of film because the original reel was left in a basement somewhere or whatever. But with games, we run into not only time degrading the quality of things, but also like Todd said, licenses and different weird things running into the way, or just not being able to play on.
I mean, you think about the entire library of DS and 3DS games that without a DS or a 3DS are never going to be able to play it optimally ever again.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much preservation you can port those things to Switch or whatever you want to, but you're not going to have the same like touch screen combination.
No. And it's like I said earlier with the N64 controller, there are entire mechanics in Donkey Kong 64 that require you to press, and in Banjo-Kazooie that require you to press a button and then one of the C buttons. And there are no six face button controllers anymore. Yeah. There aren't. Yeah. So you have to remap them or figure it out. Or I do the weirdest thing, dude. When I played that game on the Wii U, I'll just do a quick tangent. The start and select button are kind of like a little bit close to the like A, B, X, Y. So I remapped the buttons so that A and B were start and select.
Oh, wow.
And the 4 C buttons were the A, B, X, Y, because you have to play Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo-Kazooie with the 4 face button. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to do without that, because that's a lot of your special moves. So it's just crazy. Even N64 games, some of them are very difficult to play without 6 face buttons.
Oh, yeah. And I would say even the 360 I just bought, trying to find a 360 controller, new or used. I mean, buying old controllers from people, it's gross, by the way. But trying to find new 360 controllers is almost impossible. Yeah. I found like a knockoff, but it wasn't very cheap. And that's the biggest problem. A lot of these hardware innovations, I mean, are people going to start making, like, there's a huge like innovation right now on like these emulator handhelds, right? That we're seeing that can do all these different things from China, but they're not doing what the DS did, which is dual screen touch and things like that. And that's going to be very hard to emulate, just like DDR pads. How often are you going to find like PS2 era DDR pads
that are still functioning, or Rock Band drums that still,
or Donkey Kongas, right? I mean, any of those things, or what is it, Samba de Amigo with maracas. I mean, all those, anything, and even today we're gonna have a problem with VR hardware, right? PSVR is coming out. We don't even know if those games will translate to PSVR 2, Oculus Quest, all these old VR systems that are dying because they're just niche. I mean, it's crazy, and that's going to be hard. Even arcade. I love arcade, and arcade games, half of that is just the thing you're in. The Jedi, what is the Star Wars game? It's like Jedi, or maybe it's like, it's the
Battle Pod?
The Battle Pod, or the racing game from episode 1. Pod racing. Yeah, there's a pod racing arcade console that I don't know if you'll ever play. You can play it on N64 if you can find an N64 controller. To your point, it's just we're just in a weird spot that it's like
the pod racing re-release on Switch was pretty good. Yeah. I will say that.
You brought up a really interesting point earlier about licensing. Like, think about a game like GoldenEye, right? Iconic. Like, everybody's played GoldenEye, but like, who do you have to go through to have GoldenEye re-released? Like Warner Brothers?
It's Amazon now. Amazon just
Amazon.
Yeah, it's Amazon.
Amazon, the Broccoli family.
You have to go through Nintendo. You have to go through Rare and Microsoft. Like, are you going to get Pierce Brosnan's likeness again? You're going to get all those actors to sign off on their likeness again? There's no way. There's no way.
So
that game's ever getting re-released.
Yeah.
I was going to say, even the Captain America game on the 360 with Chris Evans' voice and all that things. I had to buy a 360 to play that game, the Hugh Jackman Wolverine game. Those games are just not available anywhere. It's just crazy. It's just weird.
This week on Twitter, I think it was the Xbox Drive, Sean and Ryan were talking about they were talking about like Marvel what's it called, Midnight Suns. and they said it's going to be great to play as Blade. Blade never had his own game, and he did. But again, it's one of those games that's so rare and so weird that there was a Blade 1 and a Blade 2 game, and I remember that because the action in that game, the controls in that game really stuck out to me, where you use the stick to direct your attacks. So that game always really stuck out in my head, but like most people don't know about it because it's nowhere now, like completely forgotten in time. But I did put this out to Twitter and our Discord. I wanted to hear what games people you're not going to see these games. People want to but I wanted to know what people wanted to play if given. So I'll read a couple of these. At Pixelrena on Twitter gave me this haircut, which I think is great. So thanks, Rena. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think if you think I look good, go give her a like. And
suits you.
But anyway, she said, if you haven't played it, Super Nintendo game Brainlord is an amazing underrated game by Enix. Imagine a Zelda game with multiple weapons and armors, various fairy companions, healing, shooting fire, water, thunder, etc., and with long dungeons filled with clever puzzles. If it were on Nintendo Switch Online's SNES catalog, it'd easily have more hours than any other game. Crazy. Like, but again, one of those things, like, I guess that one's technically probably possible. Like Square Enix could probably put that out, but
there's no Square games on NSO.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be Square putting it out on some collection.
The name, unfortunately, probably hampers it. Brainlord.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games that, like, there's probably like people like Rena that would love to play it, but other people, like, would they be excited? Would they know? Would they click on it? Would they take the chance? So why bother making sure that the emulation works and that the port works and all that kind of stuff? It's tricky, right? A few from our Discord, Gimpy J said Blast Corps from N64 was
man.
Was that in the rare replay on Xbox?
Yes, it was.
I thought so,
think
right?
it is. Yeah.
Okay, so you can play that right now, just not on a Nintendo console.
Yep.
So definitely possible. Definitely Pokemon Red. I think that's going to be like Red and Blue. That has to be what they're going to be kicking this Game Boy
on 3DS right now.
It is, yeah.
That's $10 on 3DS.
Yeah.
So, but that's if they do the Game Boy thing,
it has to be one of the first.
The only thing is Pokemon Company is so protective, so they may just do their own re-release. Hopefully they do.
Maybe. The fact that it's on Virtual Console on 3DS gives me hope.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Just Mark, just even think about this. A game like Pokemon Unite.
Yep.
In 5 years, Nintendo gets bored, the Pokemon Company gets bored, that game may just disappear.
Yep.
Because it's an online game. Yep. It's not ongoing. We've got a lot like, what was it? Was it the Mario 35 game? It's going to go away. No, there's no way to bring that game back. Nintendo didn't make a ROM or something where you can just play it again and it's online. So yeah, we're in trouble, guys.
Yep. I
don't know how to fix this.
We had a couple of other Pokemon. So, like, Pokemon's one of my big ones that I want to play, and I have them on my 3DS. I even have the original Pokemon Blue and a Game Boy Color, like 10 feet behind me, in my living room. Like, it's right there. But I'd love it on my Switch just to play whenever I want to. But we also had Carly say Pokemon Crystal. There was a DS remake, but I never got to play it. Played the heck out of it on the GBA. Then it broke. And maybe a Tasmanian Devil game. So I remember Tasmanian Devil in, like, was it Looney Tunes basketball? But was there an actual like Taz game?
There was a Taz
Nintendo.
game.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I'd be all over that.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
There's a ton of Disney games. Yeah.
There's always one game that comes to mind for me when we're talking about preservation that would just be so weird for Nintendo to bring back in any proper way, and that game is on the GameCube, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that game was also on the Wii with new play control, but it's terrible.
Yep.
Because if you're not playing with the bongos, you're not playing Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
Yes.
Were you playing with Wiimotes?
No.
What were you doing?
You just a platformer, left and right, jump.
Yeah.
It was boring.
Oh,
that game has to be played with bongos, or you're not playing.
Yep.
That's literally one of my favorite GameCube games, and I recommend it to everybody. But The bongos are getting up there, 30, $40 for a good pair of bongos. Then the game itself is $30. So you're going to drop 70 to play a rhythm platformer on the GameCube? Probably not.
No.
Especially since those bongos are really only good for that. And then Donkey Konga, which you need multiple bongos for. So now you're in trouble. So that's a game that just, I don't know how you're ever going to get people to buy bongo peripheral ever again. You're just
tough, yeah.
You're just not. And the GameCube in general is problematic because of the analog L and R buttons.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the first party games.
Which Nintendo hasn't done that.
No, F-Zero GX, just the best F-Zero game ever made, really relies on those analog L and Rs, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it did not. That was one thing I definitely noticed and missed on the 3D, like even like Super Mario Sunshine, and it wasn't like a big deal. Like it wasn't as ingrained in that game as something like F-Zero, but it was noticeable.
No, but you noticed it.
And it was just like, oh, this is not ideal. And I had a GameCube controller and it still doesn't work. Like it's just come on, like
it's not programmed.
No.
Yeah.
So we got a couple more. Chris from 1 Hour 1 Decision said any retro game, maybe upgraded Metal Gear Solid, but I don't know if upgrading counts. Chris. He did also mention Master Blaster and Altered Beast. Altered Beast,
Master Blaster Zero,
and
Master Blaster Zero on the Switch is
it's
not the exact same game,
good,
but
though.
it is very
it
close.
is, yeah.
And it's very
and Altered
good.
Beast you
and
can play on the
sequels,
Sega Genesis collection, so
yes,
absolutely.
available
which
there.
is worth every penny.
Pokemon Platinum from Talesman 710.
Yes,
awesome. Yeah, any Pokemon game, just keep throwing them at me. Honestly, I would love every single Pokemon game from like Blue to Sword Shield on my Switch. That would make me a very, very happy man. Just all of them.
Mark, I was gonna say, when even in the Pokemon, there's a bunch of weird Pokemon games that were on like the Nintendo GameCube. Like, was it the like not Stadium, but it was very similar to that.
Coliseum, and then there was
the
XD.
GameCube, yeah.
There was XD Gales of something or other, blah blah blah.
XD
My
Gale
son
of
wanted to play-
Darkness, $200 GameCube game now. So good luck with that one.
Yeah, it's very weird. But I would say this so very quickly before I know we have to run, but I mean, just say like, what's your pick of like, what's a game you just can't play now, which you want to play? So very quickly, Dan, what's yours?
Game that I want, man, that's tough because as a retro gamer, I kind of invest in weird stuff like that. I want to play Chibi Robo on the GameCube.
Ooh, all right.
It's never been re-released. It's just it's a $300 game.
Oh, okay, there you go. That makes sense.
And there's no reason why Nintendo can't just have a port to Switch. They own it. There's nothing weird about the licensing. They made Ziplash and it didn't sell, and they said, "Well, fine, we're not making Chibi Robo anymore." Yep. And I said, "That wasn't a Chibi Robo game, Nintendo."
That game had so much potential to be good, but that random stage selection wheel just sucked the fun right out of it the second you played for like 20 minutes.
And it's not a bad game. It's just not Chibi Robo.
No.
Come on.
Yeah.
I want to explore a house and clean it. That's what I want to do.
That sounds like so much
3-inch robot.
But it was.
Yeah.
You and five people. People.
Exactly. That's the problem, right?
Exactly. That's why it's $300. Mark, what's your one game you want to play but you can't?
Before I do, I have to mention Gimpy J, mentioned Jackal for the NES as well, and Famous Seamus.
Bro.
There we go. Yes,
that's one of my favorites.
And I figured you'd enjoy that call out. One that I love, Famous Seamus brought out all the Pokemon games, which I already mentioned. Goof Troop. Hell yes.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that's supposed to be a cool game.
The guy that directed that went on to direct the first Resident Evil. That is like the lineage we have with this game. That was a great game.
That wasn't on the Disney Saturday Morning Collection?
No.
Man.
No. Donkey Kong.
Missed opportunity.
He said 94 here. I'm guessing that's 64.
Okay. Donkey Kong 90.
No. It's on the Game Boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was a typo, but I know what he's talking about now. And ActRaiser is the last one there.
Oh yeah.
For me,
classic.
I have to go with. Oh man, that I can't play right now. I have to go with GoldenEye.
Correct. Okay.
Just because I know it's impossible. I know we just talked about it, but like GoldenEye. That's just
makes sense.
That's it.
They got pretty close on the Wii, but
Yep.
Just-
Yep.
just-
Game Boy
yeah.
Reloaded or whatever it was called. Yeah. Did
Yeah.
not
Yep.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. Todd, what about you?
It's got to be light guns. Light gun games.
Ooh,
They're
yeah,
impossible.
good call.
And I was hoping the Switch would be the one game. We do have a House of Dead game that's coming out on the Switch, but I expected the Switch to be the one that brought us back to prominence. We had a bunch of awesome light gun games on the Wii, but the graphics were just holding it back with Resident Evil, House of Dead 3,
House
all
of the
those
Dead,
things.
man.
So I think
Ghost Squad. Got to shout out Ghost Squad on those.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, light gun games have been a problem with because of LCDs and those type of consoles, but I think the Switch could do it. But nobody, I mean, we only have a House of Dead game. So come on, bring out light gun games because they're just a lot of fun. Virtual Cop, Time Crisis, there's so many that are good.
When I first started dating Loren, my wife, we spent so many nights just like playing light gun games on the Wii, House of the Dead, that kind of stuff. We bought I remember we bought Nerf guns that could convert into a Wii light gun, and we used to like have Nerf battles because we're both incredibly huge dorks, and then we'd switch to we'd plug our Wii remotes in and do the light gun House of the Dead stuff. Like that was early dating days, and such great memories with those games with her. Like 100%, yes, bring those back.
We have huge TVs. It's perfect. Two people side by side. House of the Dead, the one that was like full of vulgar language and stuff, was so good. So I just want them to bring that back. I don't know if it'll happen, but that's where we're at. So I guess that's it. I mean, there's so much more on this topic, but I'm glad we had a great time.
Go into like emulation and like the legality of it. And, if they're not going to release it, then what do I do? But
there's so much to pick your brain about. We'll have to have you back for sure to get more into like some game preservation and issues that you run into, but I know you have to take off, so we'll save that for another time.
Perfect.
Absolutely. So before we go, Dan, tell people how they can find you on the interwebs.
Awesome. Good deal. Yeah. So I'm at RetroLogicGames everywhere on Twitter and Instagram. Our Discord community is open. You just got to click the link in my Twitter bio and you can jump in and chat retro games with us. If you're a collector, we'd love to see your hauls and your collections and what you love. What else? The podcast is everywhere podcasts can be found. Just search RetroLogic, one word. The game store is at retrologic.games. Really, all of it's just there.
Awesome.
So if you like my ramblings, you can hear me talk about retro games and collecting and all that in the modern era, which is getting really interesting. Mm-hmm. So, if you want to hear more about that, then please, we'd love to have you.
Excellent.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on the crazy costs of games that are classics, but that's another topic. I know it's a red herring.
Yeah,
bring
me back. I'll come on and talk about
it.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. This is going to be an important topic in the future. But at this point, though, we want to share our gamer tags really quickly because it's important we do that. If you want to game with us, so Dan's at RetroLogic on Switch and Stadia. Mm-hmm. I'm at Spardion98 on Xbox and Switch, and Spardion1998 because PSN screwed me up. Mark's at Canardian.
Yep.
On Xbox and Switch because he's too afraid to play with the PS ponies.
Yeah, essentially, I haven't played anything on my PS4 in a very long time.
Absolutely. So with that, folks, thanks everyone for joining us. Dan, you were a pleasure. Mark, you're always the handsomest man in all the land. And with that, folks, I'll always tell you, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.